And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, folks. Thanks for tuning in, whether it's via the live stream on Twitch or whether it's the YouTube premiere or in syndication on YouTube. Thanks regardless. Let's look at the local yellow dwarf, otherwise known as the Sun, in 193 angstroms view, to see some coronal holes moving out of the Earth-facing region. A smaller defined one up here toward the North Pole, low levels of solar activity in general, and a weak magnetosphere. Let's take a look at the 171 angstroms view. Always a little more cheery. We do see a little bit of plasma moving around there right in the center of the disk. No Earth-facing coronal mass ejections. Doesn't look like any coronal mass ejections at all, folks. And there's the view of the northern area. That coronal hole up in the north is well defined enough to be able to be seen at 171 angstroms. All right, 10.7 centimeter radial flux back up to 71. Near this orange line we've drawn in to show where solar minimum is located. We're going to skip cosmic rays today, although we have left links in the description to that site. Here's a magnetic environment faded to 171 angstroms, and we don't really see any areas of magnetic complexity there. Let me zoom in one spot. You can see not really a lot of magnetic organization happening there at all. And let's go to some more data like the GOES electron flux, which remains at quite low levels. You can see both the GOES 14 and the GOES 16 returning very low electron flux levels. Relativistic electrons low as well. We're expecting GPSs to work well even at noontime on the equator, with only a few meters of error. There are the GOES magnetometers, and we are seeing some magnetic anomalies on the Sun. Let's take a look at the gong too. Now you can see, if you look at out here, this is stereo A here on the left, and you can see its field force lines cannot decide where it is. So those are some odd anomalies out there at stereo A. And so expect some changes happening here in this current sheet polarity boundary, as there is some polaric mix-up associated with that area. And you can see stereo A's field force lines are snapping back and forth there. So we are expecting to see some magnetic anomalies here. Let's look at the last frame. Now this data is 1 hour and 48 minutes old, and the Earth's field force line could suddenly snap across here, as again we're seeing changes in this portion of the current sheet here. North Pole polarity depicted in green, South Pole polarity depicted in red. And thanks to all our new viewers who've been pressing subscribe on YouTube, we appreciate that. Next is the real-time solar wind, and we are seeing a very low solar wind density at 3.19 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed has come down in the past 6 hours to 369 kilometers a second, making for one weak magnetosphere. And there's the data from ACE looking similarly. Where will you be when winter hits? Well, winter's going to hit at 11:19 Eastern Standard Time. That's PM on December 21st. That's 11:19 PM December 21st. We'll be doing a live stream during it, which will be starting at 11 PM. And we're expecting it to be about a 1 hour stream before we go on and do a regular space weather video that we do every day. So we'll be doing a solstice special once again. And we typically do stream during equinoxes and solstices here on the smAsho channel. So stay tuned for that coming up next Saturday night. I should say this Saturday night because it's only 5 days off. And here's the Geospace Magnetosphere movie depicting the magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And again, looking pretty weak. We see continued ionic anomalies over the South Pacific. We'll get to it in a minute. First, we're going to look at ground magnetic perturbations. And by the way, folks, we got a new mouse, and it seems to have increased our performance. How do you like them apples? And there are the geospace ground magnetic perturbations, changes in the Earth's B field, the field that goes through the magnet. As we see a massive polar excursion continuing on as the geomagnetic poles shift, one across North America and one into the Indian Ocean. And here's the ionosphere movie. We're looking at 6 hours of data here for the ionosphere, and you can see these big charge-ups at nighttime south-southeast of Hawaii. We've been monitoring it for weeks, and the magnetosphere has been weak for weeks. And again, you can see some significant charge-ups there in the southern Pacific. Let's bring up the latest image. By the way, this is 6 hours of data for you new viewers out there. And there's the most recent scenario at 9:15 UT. Huge charge disparity here between South America and the South Pacific. KP index at 0 for the last 9 hours. And again, if you want to monitor cosmic rays, there's a link in the description to that. If you find any anomalies there, drop us a line at smashamash@gmail.com. So it looks like a little an uptick in earthquakes here, as we see several deep quakes and some significant quakes here, but nothing over a 6 magnitude. First of all, we see this one on New Zealand, 5.1 at a depth. That one at 147 kilometers depth. South of the White Island volcano, in between Wakatane and White Island, out there in the Bay of Plenty. So that is an interesting scenario to say the least. Deep quake, heads up for a larger quake there at the surface. Watch out, New Zealand. Please have a plan if you live in an earthquake-prone zone. Try to be an asset, not a liability, in the event of a disaster. If you're in a disaster and you're wondering when the cavalry will arrive, it's probably because you're the cavalry. So take up the role. Here's a deep quake at Tajikistan. That one at 191 kilometers and a 4.2 magnitude. Deep quake in Indonesia, south of where we saw that Filipino 6.8 magnitude quake 2 days ago. Actually, I believe that was yesterday. I don't know what day it is, folks. I apologize. A 4.6 strikes Fiji at a 208 kilometer depth. So heads up Oceania. You're seeing a series of deep quakes. Also Western South America, an uptick there as Argentina sees a 4.3 magnitude quake at a 261.9 kilometer depth. Here's another deep quake in Oceania at Vanuatu, 4.9 magnitude, 113 kilometers depth. More deep quakes striking Alaska, as Alaska's getting quakes all around the entire border of the state. And we'll continue up the list here. Here's a 5.0 at Argentina, another deep quake in Western South America. Deep quake in Nicaragua. Central American quake at 163 kilometers depth and a 4.6 magnitude. We do see some quakes around Oklahoma also. They're all at a small magnitude, folks. Another deep quake at Alaska. Possibly a volcanic quake there, but it's at depth. 3.3 magnitude, 122 kilometers. Another Western South American quake there at 230 kilometers, depth of 4.2 magnitude. So a spout of deep quakes coming through, folks. Here's a deep quake in Afghanistan. Here's a 4.5 at Indonesia. Another deep quake there, 113 kilometers depth on that one. Here's a very deep quake at Japan, 396 kilometers. Here's a Filipino quake at depth, 4.5 magnitude, 571 kilometers. So deep earthquakes all around the world, folks. As the magnetosphere is weak right now, and we see a volcanic downtick at the same time, let's look at the pressure zones. Courtesy windy.com, who, by the way, has a fantastic mobile app that you could download for free. Let's let that advance and drink some coffee as it does so. If you're wondering what goes into the coffee, it's organic dark roast, along with coconut oil, cocoa powder, nutmeg, cinnamon, and cayenne pepper. It's like a vitamin. Maybe that's why I'm so amped in the morning. We're not sure. Please leave a comment. There's where we expect pressure zones to be in about 24 hours. And I'm going to be getting snowed on today here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Volcanic downtick has happened. Let's go down the list. Mount Aso, still producing a 6,000-foot ash plume. Mount Tokono, flight level 7,000 there. Sangay, exploding, producing a 20,000-foot ash plume. And Sabancaya, continuously emitting ash. Please do not fly your ultralight over the caldera of Sabancaya. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. And there's where it'll be in 1 week, approaching another new moon. And notice the way I'm able to click things one time, and it actually worked. Turns out, I think it was the mouse, folks. I was telling smAsho Snaf that it's not the mouse. It's not the mouse. Well, it turns out, I think it's the mouse. By the way, if you have a low horizon, such as if you're on the east coast of the U.S., perhaps, have a look east before sunrise, as we should have Mars. And there's Mars rising right there, still in Libra. You should get a great view of that. Please leave a comment if you've got a telescope. Mars and then Mercury rising before the sun. And by the way, thanks everybody tuning in once again on Twitch. And we don't really have a pop-out chat feature. We're going to try to be a little more interactive on the live streams. And thanks for tuning in, Electric View. Holla. We're going to be plugging the channel in a minute, along with a bunch of other stuff. By the way, follow us on BitChute if you're not aware. We archive all of our videos there, as we could be deleted from YouTube at any time for no reason and with no explanation. If you're wondering what the real-time lightning scenario is here on planet Earth, check out lightningmaps.org. And it looks like you got some lightning in over Kentucky and Tennessee. Next time you hear thunder, check it out. Shout out to London, Kentucky, and Corbin. There's thunder rolling in. And by the way, this really does show you the sound waves. Anticipated path. No, we're not going to talk about doing air density calculations by timing lightning strikes. Versus thunder sound waves. All right, let's just move on. Lightningmaps.org. Oh, check it out. It's a value-added service, folks. Here at Weather Underground. Looking at the U.S. Doppler radar to show snow creeping in. And let's hope I don't get involved in a disaster, as I will be out driving around a couple 100 miles to protect the food supply. That's right, I'm part of the supply chain, folks. And the organization that I work for is involved in food safety testing mainly, but also nutritional integrity, redundancy testing for other laboratories, as well as some chemical synthesis. And believe it or not, I do have insight into the supply chain that is not evident for those of you who are not working in the supply chain. If you've got questions about it, drop me a line, leave a comment. I'll answer them without causing anybody's day to be ruined. as there are some issues with the supply chain, as we've had a pretty lousy harvest this year. Now, part of the eastern U.S. still did okay, but there's all kinds of issues regarding tariffs and all kinds of other stupid things happening. Anyway, there's a U.S. water vapor map, and there's one hell of a convergence going on over West Texas. We're going to zoom in on it right now. And we see massive pressure gradients happening there. Check out all those parallel lines caused by Hall currents in the atmosphere. It's not the Birkeland currents, it's not the Peterson currents, it's the Hall currents, which basically mitigate your weather. Man, oh man, look at that dry air out there. Yowzers. If you're flying a plane across that, expect it to be a bumpy ride, folks, as the dry air has a higher viscosity than the wet air. Wet air is less massive and hence less viscous. Here are the jet streams of the Western world, and they are all over the place, folks. We've got backwards flowing jet streams over the South Atlantic there, extreme meridional jet stream bends, injecting some frigid air undoubtedly into northwestern Africa. Meridional jet stream flow big time, folks. A feature of solar minimum. Here's the eastern jets, looking a little bit more organized. Let's move on because there's still more things to talk about. Let's talk about our mission. Check out smAshomash.org, by the way. There's a forum coming maybe today. I think it'll be today, actually. Anyway, the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, something I've been concerned with since the mid-90s. Also to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. Welcome to space. All your weather comes from space. Also to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, hence this video. Ta-da! To demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems, since ignorance is the root of all knowledge. To publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to the sciences listed before you. To assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomena, and to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. I might seem like a jerk, but I'm actually quite reasonable, believe it or not. If you enjoy the mission and you'd like to contribute, perhaps, please press like and subscribe on YouTube. Share on your social media. Share with your local science nerd or astronomy club. If you'd like to support the mission, please do so on Patreon, patreon.com/smAshomash, the real source of funding for these videos. We are aware that the videos are monetized on YouTube. That does not mean that YouTube pays us a red cent for the content. By the way, look for some t-shirts coming out soon with this design on it. Now that's Cygnus A, the massive radio galaxy, the second strongest radio source in the entire sky, second only to the sun, with its arbitrary and silly name, 3C405, or Cygnus A, whichever you want to refer to it as. They're both silly names, and part of the reason we're making the shirt is because we think things should have actual names. So look for the shirts coming soon. And if you're not into Patreon and so on, and you don't like t-shirts with massive radio sources on them, then perhaps you could donate via PayPal. We would greatly appreciate it, as we are expanding the operation in various ways that may not be evident to our viewers. Were you aware of psychic vampire repellent? Now, we talked about it on yesterday's Electric View program, talking about conspiracy theories. And this is endlessly amusing to me. So let's bring out the ingredients. So it contains sonically tuned water, rose water, grain alcohol, sea salt, colloidal silver. Some legit stuff in there. And let's talk about some ridiculous stuff. How about sound waves, moonlight, and love? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Goop.com is Gwyneth Paltrow's cash grab, where she's going to sell a bunch of snake oil. And, oh no, it's sold out. Oh, jeez. Anyway, you can't buy the psychic vampire repellent. I'm not sure if she's still selling the vaginal eggs or not. I know Goop has been sued by various different organizations and consumers for misrepresenting the therapeutic value of certain products. And let's don't get into it anymore. Let's talk about yesterday's Electric View conversation. Yesterday's Electric View conversation was talking about 2019's best electric conspiracies. And one of the things that we brought up is the origin of the gaseous sun, talked about by Sky Scholar, one of our featured channels. Check out youtube.com/smAsho and look at the featured channels. You'll see Sky Scholar. Just scroll down the videos and check out History of the Gaseous Sun with Dr. Robitaille, as it talks about some solarmanites, some folks who are living on the sun, and when you see a sunspot that you're able to see down to the surface that they live on, as they used to think the sun had a surface. And now mainstream cosmology doesn't think so anymore. So anyway, check out yesterday's conversation. I did start the thing out by being the screen sharer, so you'll see images of the sun and stuff like that as we talk about snowflakes and all kinds of other stuff. The Electric View. Please press like and subscribe over there also, as we are regular contributors to the channel. Shout out to Neil and crew. And thanks for everybody leaving all the comments on Twitch. Let me get to them real quick. And thanks, Smash Team. Stay tuned for some bonus features. I don't think Andy's going to laugh about the Hall currents. I think Andy is going to cite the fact that I'm absolutely correct with those Hall currents. And let's get to that bonus feature, which is the local yellow dwarf in 304 angstroms. And we're looking at 48 hours. We see some big-time filaments in the southeast as well as the northeast. And we are out, folks. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on Twitch, everybody who has. Look for the premiere coming out in a moment on YouTube, where we will watch live. And as the editor of the videos, I need to watch them live, just in case I say something stupid, so that I can retract or correct myself in the comments. Anyway, we're out. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Remember to stare at the sun, and when you do so, not to drink, and if you drink, certainly don't drive. In fact, just don't drive, period, because I might be on the road, and I don't want to see you out there no matter how much I like you, and I do. Don't take that too seriously. Anyway, since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back, and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.